Thank you to Water Wheel Little Horse for their generous donation on Patreon.
Y'all voted for a redo, so we go with Find a Cure. Some small maroon spots on the potato's skin alerted Eina that the potato she'd chosen probably wasn't in the best condition. As she was devising the punishment she'd bring upon the merchant that could have endangered Ader's life with diseased food, she had a small epiphany. Perhaps Ader wasn't being an imbecile. Perhaps he was just sick. Eina didn't have to have the foggiest idea about medicine, but she figured that it couldn't be too different from fixing any other thing in the world. She just had to figure out what piece was malfunctioning. I like this face. I like this face that she's pulling right now. And she knew where to look. Quiet, furtive steps, the only sound disrupting the consuming silence that filled the temple of Iilegrab. Once the night fell and honest folks left the streets, any thief that was dumb or brave enough to target such an old place of worship would have been surprised to see that not a single fire burned in the whole temple after sunset. Not in the courtyard, not in the offertory, not in the library where someone was meticulously looking through the shelves filled with books and clay tablets that threatened to crumble into dust at any moment. Eina set her sights on an interestingly named volume. You can't be fucking serious. As if the fucking name thing was already kind of a joke. What? What? You know what? I'm gonna try it. I'll go it slow, but Basakra hun yana kikain that tan kinyanet. Yeah, I probably just insulted like 15 different cultures by doing that. Roughly translating to Sonar as Anatomy of Barons and Ekains. I dare you a double dare you say that. Wonder how fast I can do it. Basakra I think I put a net, too many nyes in there, but that's probably as fast as I'm gonna go without actual practice. I'm gonna take a picture of it. In Eina's humble opinion, as an observer removed from the art of talking, society improved a little the day the Northerners introduced the concept of breathing between worlds. The book coughed a small puff of fine sand upon being opened, but it looked otherwise pretty well conserved. Eina began shuffling through the pages quickly, looking for the part that interested her. The revolting innards of the brutish deer folk, a most thoughtful and impartial of treating. Impartial, the revolting innards of the brutish deer folk. Truly an impartial that's the joke, I imagine. Would be a rather forgiving translation for the title of the chapter she was about to read. Research unlocked. Holy shit. Let's check this encyclopedia. There is a lot of shit here. Holy crap. Oh my god. Characters, lore. Oh my god. What the fuck? Holy shit. The reason for Ader's strange behavior had to be written somewhere around. She just had to narrow down the source of the ailment.
Who dares into my lair?
Jesus Christ, Grandpa. Or father, rather. Eina slammed the book shut, startled. She growled softly to let him know that it was just her, and she left the book on a nearby table.
Eina, you stupid spendthrift! What are you doing to my precious books?
What are you doing to my? I swear to God, I'm gonna smack you across the ears! The merchant explored the room with his cane, trying to make his way towards Eina. He picked up the tome that Eina was reading, making sure that every page was where it was supposed to be.
Huh! The pages are bent! Are you just reading this? Wait, you? Reading? Are you sick, child?
Something has to be wrong if you're reading books. Anna would have loved to tell her father that she had hobbies and interests, that he knew nothing about her, and that she hated reading, and that dyeing her hair green wasn't just a phase. The merchant continued examining the book. He ran his bony fingers along the engraved inscription on the spine of the book.
What do you need an anatomy book for anyway?
The old man paused for a second, considering his own question.
I'm gonna unman that bespalling tallow catch!
What the hell does that mean? Unman, I imagine, could mean castration. But I don't know what the fuck the rest of that means. The merchant stormed off as fast as his nearly fossiled legs let him, leaving Eina to her own devices. She opened the book once more, passing a few pages just for mere curiosity, until she stumbled upon the very last chapter. Bloodlust, a concise summary on the geological evidence for the existence of the gruesome savage beasts, speculations and imaginations of their appearance. Anna just closed the book and dropped it on the ground. The book recommended great doses of fresh air, relaxation, and a vitamin-rich soup for all ailments. Anna didn't know what vitamins meant, but she understood the concept of soup. She also understood most other concepts she read about, and once they popped up into her mind, she no longer had the mental capacity to make a soup. Recollections of the anatomy book began appearing in her mind. She didn't want to believe it, but perhaps all those noises weren't sighs, but Ader's tremendously pathetic mating call. Oh, God. She stared at Ader from behind the mountain of food as he rubbed his snout. Yes, she read something about that. What a shameful display, showing off his nose to a pure maiden to entice her. She had to stay strong. That wasn't the time to let her heart flutter under the very self-indulgent assumption that Ader was somehow interested in getting to know her better. Anna was no hakim, I don't know what that means, but she knew the profession well. She needed to confirm her suspicions based on the symptoms before giving a diagnosis. Alright, we got blush, heart, pants, and Anna realized this was very inappropriate and stopped. We'll go with heart for now. The book had talked at length about the feelings associated with such a state. Heart racing, palpitations, and extreme warmth would be the most characteristic ones, and they should be obvious to the touch. Touch. Anna looked at her palms. Well, actually, she didn't. They were covered in bandages. She just looked thoughtfully in their general direction. She wouldn't bare her hands for him. Not now. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Her ears weren't covered, though. Perhaps she could listen to his heartbeat. She could just put her face to his chest and... Oh. Wait. She can listen to his heartbeat with her face buried in his chest. Ah, so that didn't work. We'll try blush before we get to pants. The book stated quite specifically that one of the most obvious external signs of the illness was a flush of red spreading through face and possibly chest. Anna put her face closer to Ader's, looking for that blush. Ader's face went red immediately. Anna nodded to herself. It had to be a bad case. He was even going a little cross-eyed. And the one y'all have been fucking waiting for... pants. And the whole world disappeared. Anna's wanton eyes followed the trail of dark, curly hair that zigzagged from the gorgeous brunette's chest all the way to the end of his toned stomach. There was a problem, no doubt. A problem in his pants. This isn't gonna go where I imagine it's implying. So, I look forward to seeing how this defies expectation. Anyway, that doesn't happen until chapter 10. The narrator is fucking interrupting us. Of my fan fiction. Eina was actually just thinking that Ader's pants were several sizes too wide for him. He'd lost a ton of weight since they first met. Living with only one meal a day will do that to you. And he looked downright gaunt as of late. That's what I'll write anyway. Well, there's a fucking hint that maybe Eina is the narrator, but I don't know. Eina completed the examination and nodded, nose and ears twitching as she giggled to herself. Playing Hakim is great.
Browsing the wares, boss. Can I help you choose anything?
Browsing the wares. Oh, Eilegrab, this could have been a very, very different book. Eina has been updated. Eina channeled her embarrassment and indignation in a way that was not deserved, but not uncalled for. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Ader got a swift punch to his face, and as was the norm for her, Eina ran away before she got a chance to see his reaction. So now that we've seen the two, do you think the redo was a good idea? Did we choose the right path? Did we choose the one that y'all wanted? She brought out one of her trusty daggers and focused all of her attention on cutting the potato to thinner and thinner slices. She wasn't wrong. There was just no way she was. She was older and wiser, and Ader was just being an idiot by refusing her help. Of course!
Hiding from the mob, little pest.
How the fuck does he keep fucking popping up randomly? Son of a bitch! Gods damn it, giant tree man! Replying to Iilegrab wasn't precisely on Eina's list of priorities for the day. Iilegrab didn't expect otherwise.
Don't worry, I took care of them. No need to thank me, of course. Wouldn't kill you, though. Anyway, all that's left is putting out the fire, so, I was hoping Ader could give me a hand there. Where is the lad?
He's currently putting his face back on. That was another question that didn't deserve an answer. Eina devoted her whole being to gathering all the extra thin potato slices and then launched them into the air, watching them fly around like some tremendously wasteful confetti.
Did you two get in a fight?
Aww. Aww. Aww, and he walked away. Oh, they're back. Eina led Iilegrab to the courtyard. There was a peevish Ader sat by the fountain. He was rubbing his face as he stared at all the food by his side.
He hasn't come back to his senses yet, huh? Hey, think it's your father's fault? I mean, I could leave him a little longer on the pyre to see if he learns his lesson.
Who are you talking to, him or me?
Don't you dare, you son of a wilted fur!
Christ.
Don't you dare, you son of a wilted fur. Meat face.
I'll make a wardrobe out of you!
Oh, bless your ears, Red.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Eina shook her head, frustrated. The merchant hadn't said anything meaner than usual, and even if he had, Ader and Eina formed an unbreakable team. Nothing could harm them when they were together. He looked in Ader's direction once more. He's trying. What the fuck? He doing somersaults. What in the shit? I won't even pretend I've ever understood how Ader's mind works. What is happening right now?
You two worrywarts were made for each other.
Christ! And his face turned red immediately. The legendarily morose Smith would rather admit to any criminal charges against her than let on that she was actually concerned about anyone's well-being. Iilegrab smiled and stepped forward before she had a chance to protest, however.
Let me handle this.
Oh, shit. Oh, God. Oh, God.
Ahem.
Uh-huh.
Addison, son of Garfaz of the Upper Field, you're under arrest!
Oh, shit.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I knew that it was against the law, but I couldn't just go tell Ader. Please don't kill me.
For worrying a precious little being. Like,
You just admitted to some shit.
Eina, sweetie, give us a minute, will you?
Oh boy.
Ader! Ader! My favorite Canthurian refugee! Why would the only law-abiding deer in Slander District ever beg for his life?
Oh boy.
Did Gyoff talk you into conning someone? Someone called Tailid, perhaps?
No, thank you. All the gold in my socks are on ain't worth a word with that sicko.
The socks are
Don't
out.
tell him
Nice.
I said that.
Well, that rules the most serious possibility out, which leaves us with a scared buck and a secret. And you know that I'm only second to Eina when it comes to both. Start talking.
Oh hell.
All right. If I'm gonna die, at least let me die an honest buck.
What the fuck?
I met this girl and she booped me and I got so nervous that I ran away, but then we met again and it turned out we kind of knew each other because I tried to save her once. Things got kind of heated up between us and,
Oh boy.
what we did that night? Oh boy, that can't be legal.
What?
Oh! Say no more! So, you shed your antlers! That's no big deal! And most certainly not a crime! Though you know, fawns happen! You do know about that, right?
Oh god.
Ader, I love you like a son, but please don't make me take on your father's actual educational duties.
I know where fawns come from. That ain't...
Oh boy.
Good. Then what could... Oh, of course. I should have known from the very first moment.
Ader's eyes lit up slightly. Iilegrab let a heavy hand fall on the buck's shoulder as he took a deep breath.
Ader, no matter how guilty you feel, cheating is not a crime.
Say what?
I want you to know that I don't approve of what you've done, but I'm sure Eina will understand if you talk to her.
I'd never cheat on Eina. I'd have to be courting her for that anyway.
You're not?
Of course not. My boss is the strongest, and the coolest, and cute as a bug to boot. Ain't nobody good enough in this world to court Eina, much less me. I could never find me a doe like her.
Aww.
But kid, she's not a...
Oh! She knocked his ass out. Oh my god. If a tree falls in a temple and there's 3 people to hear it, including the tree itself, does it make a sound? The answer is yes. He does. He says doe. Oh boy.
All right, kiddo. That's the end of the talk. Why don't you go back to sulking in the corner or something?
Iilegrab laughed awkwardly as Eina dragged him away. This game is
You're
fucking
lucky
charming.
I can't have
charming.
you arrested, you unruly little beast. Yeah, of course. Mock your biggest ally. Oh, excuse me. That wasn't on purpose. I swear. Your greatest ally! I was just trying to help you.
Oh boy.
Forget that stupid argument. I thought I told you to tell him the truth already.
Uh-oh.
Don't play the mute card with me. There's a million ways you could tell him. That boy's blinder than Pertok, but he'll find out sooner or later that you're lying to him. You want to wait till Eka is here? How do you think he'll react then?
Uh-oh.
Eina, we aren't like him. Like them. I know you care a lot about him, and so do I. I love the both of you. But keeping up the charade for so long is only gonna make the truth harder than it should be.
That is true.
Deer, have a life. And we're a part of it, of course, but there are just some things that we can never give them. Things they need in their short time on Dakna. No matter how much we love them. Ader is no exception to that rule. He's beginning to realize that you're not the son of his life, Eina. Take the whole Knight business out, and what do you have? He's just a boy with down-to-earth concerns. He wants a farm. He wants a family. He will move on one day and find those things. And we should be happy for him. Do you understand?
There were some concepts that Eina was acutely aware of, even if she herself didn't realize that. How painfully small her influence could be on anyone's life was one of them. A few moments went by in complete silence as she contemplated the faces that had left her behind already. She had always been all too eager to forget how rare company had been throughout her existence. Bearing the weight of such a thought, she finally nodded with her head low. Iilegrab's mustache turned down as his eyebrows rose. A million worried creases formed where his forehead should be.
Great! Then do me a favor and take him somewhere nice tonight.
Huh?
You have to make sure to have fun together while you can. So go make up with him. Take him out tonight. Who knows? Maybe he'll loosen up and tell you what's going on after a few drinks. It's time to let him in or let him go. So you two better be smooshing faces together by the end of the night, okay? That's a royal order.
Really? Really? Smooshing faces together. In an incredible display of dexterity, Iilegrab managed to produce a giant tree deer's handful, of dorus from a bag on his belt, which he handed to a very flustered Eina as discreetly as he could. Satisfied with his act of generosity, he took a long glance around the forge, finally stopping to stare at the embers resting on the bottom of the furnace.
And you can think of that as a tip. You know, so you can get to work on my order a bit faster.
Oh shit, there was a and I skipped over it, I'm sorry! Eina looked at Iilegrab straight in the eye, not restless, not calm, even more silently than usual. She stretched out the hand, holding the coins towards him.
Fair enough. I should know better than to try to bribe a Tess. You guys are a prideful bunch. But hey, keep the money. I'm sure Ader could use a little, push in the right.
Oh boy.
Are you going to help me down or what?
Red, I swear I'd let the mobs have their way with you if it wouldn't make your daughter sad.
I'd like to see you try!
That guy is so he's tied up and he's still like, you can't get me, motherfucker.
Oh, I'm sure you would. He's right, though. I shouldn't leave him hanging like that. Good luck, Eina.
Free from the chains of unwanted social interaction, Eina silently pondered Iilegrab's words as she headed back to Ader's side. There used to be sacred flat pools in the public courtyard, now served as a magnificent dish and laundry washing station. Ader's particularly, since he was in charge of these chores. At the end of the day, any of her oh-so-urgent chores were just another excuse to keep Ader around. Uh-oh. He purposefully looked the other way. Of course, he didn't want to talk to her. The irony of getting blatantly ignored by the clingiest deer and Darkna wasn't lost on Eina. A painful punishment, if there was one. An apology was something to be rarely expected from the smith. Not because she failed to see the fault in her actions, but because she didn't know how to apologize. No, that was just an excuse. Ader always knew when Eina felt guilty about anything. Then again, why did she have to apologize when it was him who failed to appreciate her efforts? She would have continued patting her own back and telling herself how right she was, if she hadn't noticed that the food wasn't nowhere to be seen. Multiple sound effects! And she teleported, my god.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah? Indignation! In a carefully removed from Ader's hand the brass dish that he'd been polishing over and over.
It's not clean yet. There's some red spot that just won't get.
It's not clean yet. Jesus. Ooh, hey, I like that. That's cool. An incredible feat considering that he'd been washing the same dish since their conversation with Iilegrab started. The dish had been cleaned with such dedication that she could see her reflection in it. Eina stared at the dish, then at Ader. Back at the dish. Ader again. Once satisfied with her observation, she whacked Ader's snout with the flat side of the dish in a manner that she considered softly.
What is it now?
Oh boy. He ain't happy. Smirking in the most annoying fashion possible, she shoved the dish on Ader's face.
Yeah, there it is. Just let me clean that darn dish.
Eina turned the dish around once more just to make sure she was right. There was no spot to be seen. Seeing that her first idea didn't yield any results, Eina decided some better strategic positioning was in order.
Hey, wait! Don't go walking into the pool! You're gonna make a...
Oh boy. Ignoring the way her boots were getting soaked and how questionable her repositioning was, Eina sat down in the gap left between Ader's legs in the pool. Oh my. She held the dish out as far as she could and tapped on its surface, attempting to call Ader's attention to it once more. He had to regain a bit of composure first.
Can't you see the spot? It's there, right next to your face.
A brief lapse of clarity came about as Ader's sight traveled towards a red blur on the brass dish, right where his right eye should have been.
And I'm done. Big surprise.
Laughter. They agreed on that. A tranquil silence followed Ader's epiphany, a moment of reflection. Eina looked up at Ader with her big lilac eyes, hoping to tug at his heartstrings in lieu of an apology. Some would call that kind of purposely cute look manipulative. Some people would get their asses kicked.
Well, darn, boss. I may not be all that used to the eye thing just yet, but I don't really need two eyes to see when you're trying to play me.
Oh shit. Eina patted Ader's enormous arms as patronizingly as she could, ruffling the fur that covered them. It seemed none of them would exactly apologize for what happened. Oh my god, that's a better face. It's even better. It just keeps getting better. I love it. So of course they went back to playing with the dish like the big children they were. Oh, it's turning.
Who the hell's that gnarled leafless palm tree? That ain't me. There just ain't no way that's my face. Where'd my cheeks go? No wonder I don't recognize myself. Hold up. How did she even manage to recognize me then? Was that magic too?
Uh-oh. You just gave away the plot. Eina had no idea who she was or what magic he was talking about, but there was only one gigantic one-eyed roe deer with shovels for hands in the whole city. Ader put the dish away, fixing his gaze farther in the mountain, where a statue stood, mutilated and bereft of the glory it had ages back.
Curses. Ain't no way I could forget someone like that twice.
Knowing fully well that he wasn't talking to her, Eina continued running her bandaged fingers along his fur absent-mindedly, somewhat concerned about his sudden interest for the son of the sun. She could only guess why he was talking to a statue, but then again, didn't that hold true for everything? Did she actually understand a single thing Ader did or said? Could she even? Ader had told her a million things since they met. She didn't care. They did not affect her in the slightest, and yet he kept pouring his heart out to her, and she kept ignoring him, like some sort of tug-of-war for lonely idiots. So why did the thought of not understanding him distress her so much now, when she hadn't made a single effort to do so in the time they had known each other? In the time they had known each other. Iilegrab's words resonated within her, making her feel a guilt she usually quieted with violence.
You know, I've been thinking a whole darn lot about the past lately, boss.
Eina's torn-up ears perked up. What were the chances of those two thinking the same thing? Ader smiled ever so slightly, giving her his trademark, here's a story you don't want to miss look.
Do you remember the day we met?
Aw. What a question.
Hey, don't you... At me, Missy. Imagine you just walked into the city thinking this is finally your day. You make a friend, he's gonna get you a job, and then you turn around a corner and stumble upon a grandpa on fire!
What? Nothing strange as far as Eina was concerned.
Do me a favor and make like your idea of weird and mine sort of match for a minute, boss. As I was saying, my pa raised a good boy, and a good boy don't let grandpas fry on a pyre. So I rush into the temple, ready to end the one life I got to save his.
What Ader didn't know is that Eina had been looking down on the scene from her window, giving her quite a more accurate retelling of the events.
But no matter how hard I try, the fire's just too strong for me. There's nothing a poor buck like me can do. With his last breath, the old man calls for his daughter, and he hollers until... Whoa! The prettiest girl I'd seen in my life walks right out of the gate!
Eina made a conscious effort not to giggle. To be fair, half the female population Ader met was the prettiest girl he'd seen in his life.
And as she makes her way through the crowd, she looks at me! At me! Of all the people!
Of course she was looking at him. He was screaming louder than the man on the pyre.
And she gets closer. And closer. And then... the little thing just signs us to get eaten by a beast and walks away like it's got nothing to do with her. Wonder who that gal was, huh?
He poked Eina's cheek, and she slapped his hand away as solemnly as she could. He was one to talk about first impressions. Shaggy, chubby, badly patched up, and wearing a ridiculous vest. That's how she remembered the Ader that first appeared in their gate, screaming in fear as usual. Once upon a time, there had been muscle and even fat on Ader's arms. All that remained to attest to his gigantism were a pair of oversized hands and clothes that had been mended beyond recognition. Indeed, he was once a boy with a tender scar on his face, yelling from the rooftops that he fully intended to become a knight. But dreams aren't edible, are they?
I gotta say, this year's been kicking my ass real bad. But I'm still alive and in one piece. I guess I got good health at least. No thanks to your horn-shattering, teeth-breaking, nose-bending punches.
Jesus.
But you're the one person I can always count on, boss. I trust you with my life.
Aww. Yaw, cute giggle. Oh, you caught yourself cute giggling. Yeah, and cough it away. Oh, yeah. It's a very Aderish exaggeration, of course. They had only been friends since the last bleak night. At least the way she saw it. There was no way he trusted her that much already. Baka! Then again, Ader would have probably argued that they had been friends since he arrived with that first bloom of flower scents and that he would have died for her since the moment he saw her.
And it ain't just you. I can't imagine leaving Mr. Bard's home. Or not going on walks with Iilegrab. Even the patron. Gods, I never thought I'd find something like this when I left the fort. I was just dying to go back.
Oh boy, he made it less special about her.
Back.
Uh-oh. Ader shut up all of a sudden. Eina was surprised he'd managed to have a sense about his draft. There went another issue he never talked about. Both Ader and Eina turned their eyes to the reflection once more. The image on the dish offered no good answer to the questions either of them had. It just talked about the outcome of their decisions. Eina shifted the dish a little until she was no longer in the picture. That's where she belonged.
Now, you really gotta quit sneaking around, boss.
Putting his hands just above hers, Ader turned the dish so she would be back at the reflection. She turned her face upwards, up towards his, confused.
Iilegrab's words got to you, right?
Still observing Ader's snout in such a weird angle, she nodded. He had been a lot more vigilant than what she had originally thought, but he had decided to remain silent about it all the time. From such a low angle, his still faunish and round face looked even mature. Now, that was a stretch. She knew that mature was probably one of the last adjectives that would ever be associated with him. But for just a moment, she felt like he wasn't a dumb kid who would get lost if she let go of him anymore.
Please, oh please tell me you didn't believe him, ma'am. He got it all wrong. I ain't no cheater. I never once said I was courting you, I swear.
You almost had a moment there, buddy, but you fucked it up. It was just a moment, as I said. Eina quietly considered the question, but not before headbutting his chest for that tell, of course. Comfort seems to be the majority vote, so we shall go with that. No matter what was troubling Ader, it obviously wasn't her business. She didn't like it when he pried into her life. It was only fair she'd return the favor and let him be. Eina took a long glance at the stag's jaw, letting her mind wander. She always kept him at an arm's length, effectively speaking. She feared what Ader would find if he looked closer. But in moments of true hardship, Eina knew just what to do to cheer him up. No money or alcohol required. Effortlessly, she grabbed onto his arms and brought them around her waist, pulling him into what could only count as half a hug. Ader embraced her as strongly as he could, moved by this gesture. Any other person's spine would have probably crumbled under the weight of Ader's chest, but not Eina's, no.
Boss!
Boss!
I can't believe Iilegrab had the nuts to go and say such a thing.
Had the nuts.
What the fuck does he think I am? He knows how much you mean to me. I'd never, ever hurt you like that.
Eina sighed contentedly to herself, laughing about her previous considerations about him looking like an adult. Ader was as caring, vulnerable, and predictable as the day she met him. That hadn't changed at all. She didn't want him to change at all. Change was scary. An adder an oddity in a world that shunned her. She wanted him safe and sound by her side. Could that ever be a bad thing? She didn't need an answer. It was now time for Eina to go back to sulking and for Ader to feel bad thinking that it was due to what Iilegrab said.
They got it all wrong. Iilegrab, Mr. Bard, the patron. I know they want to help, but all them city folks think they know better than Shorthorns over yonder. He don't ever get to finish talking because they already know what a dumb fawn's gonna say. You got any idea how gosh darn friggin' annoying that is?
Eina rolled her eyes back, asked the mute girl if she knows anything about not getting to chip in.
I ain't no fawn. I've been a farmer, and a water seller, and a watchman, and a soldier. I had a life before I met him, and I have one now too, but I just don't want to tell them about it. They wouldn't understand.
They wouldn't understand. Oh, but they would.
And what if I just don't want to talk? What if I'm tired of everyone thinking I'm a hick and that's it? It ain't the end of the world, right? Right?
Ader looked at Eina pleadingly with a big glassy eye on the verge of tears. The smith couldn't even bring herself to give him the sarcasm he deserved. Eina nodded patiently, giving him a lazy, derisive pat on his cheek. She found that almost relatable. With a loud sigh full of resignation, frustration, and just a hint of relief, Ader rested his chin on Eina's head, letting his surge of honesty suddenly vanish.
Woo! Feels good to get that off my chest. Once more, does and stags, the only one that gets it is Eina the Smith. I'm sorry for all the grief I've given you, boss. I should have talked to you sooner.
Indeed, he should have, but she was gracious enough not to remark it. Eina let him know that she still expected an explanation with a single look, and Ader's cheeks jumped a little as he looked away, smiling as coyly as his giant teeth would let him. And here came the part where he poured his heart out to the beautiful maiden by his side, and the relationship was strengthened even further.
boss. You know that I know there ain't nobody in the whole of Akathor that'll keep a secret safer than you.
Oh boy.
But that still don't mean you get to hear about it.
Oh. Huh? Oh man. Time to roll out the barrels.